Following Red Bull's negotiations with both Porsche and Honda, Ford has agreed to rejoin Formula One as a partner of Red Bull for the next stage of engine regulations. Red Bull Racing and Tauri will employ Ford-branded engines starting in 2026 and continuing through at least 2030, thanks to a partnership that Ripple has revealed. The Red Bull-Ford alliance will be headquartered in the new Red Bull powertrains plant, which has been developed over the previous 2 years. But Ford has asserted that it will also play a significant role in the engine's hybrid component. Ford's return to F1 with the new regulations is a major thing after an almost 2-decade hiatus. Why Ford now, then? How would it function? And how would this initiative affect Ford's shaky F1 history? Comment below with your thoughts on Ford's return and if you believe Red Bull made the correct decision as we address these inquiries. Red Bull's 2023 F1 vehicle, the RB19, had its livery unveiled in New York on either side of the announcement of Ford's return to Formula One and the partnership. Ripple's season debut had to take a backseat as this was only a show vehicle painted in the most recent iteration of a well-known color scheme. Naturally, Ford is the major emphasis. Even so, this brings together two groups with ties to the history of Formula One. Since 1995 and 1996, when Sauber was Ford's works team, Red Bull has owned the majority of the team, and Red Bull purchased the Jaguar team, which was once owned by Ford, in order to start Ripple Racing. Why reunite in this manner then? Ford has been considering a prospective F1 program based on the 2026 engine regulations for a number of months. These regulations call for 100% sustainable fuels, according to F1, and a nearly 50% increase in the engine's electrical component. Ford, meanwhile, had little interest in pursuing its own squad, whether that meant building one from scratch or investing in an already existing one. Ford wasn't eager to approve a project for a custom engine as Audi was. The chance to join Ripple Powertrains offered a clever compromise. An F1 project it can be at the heart of and contribute to, without having to spend the money or have the necessary knowledge to do it alone. For Red Bull, the agreement strengthens the financial and marketing clout of its fledgling powertrain segment. Red Bull Powertrains was never intended to be dependent on a relationship with an automaker. However, discussions with Porsche and Honda were undertaken prior to Ford. Christian Horner, the team manager for Red Bull, stated that working with an ODM would be fine as long as it was done on Red Bull's terms, which Ford seems to have done by making a financial and technical commitment while retaining ultimate control. In contrast, Porsche intended to invest in Red Bull's complete F1 team, while Honda is believed to have felt that a hybrid-only contribution was insufficient. Even yet, it hasn't even made the commitment to return to the F1 yet, given that the engines will operate under the Ford brand, and that Honda is not anticipated to be engaged in the project in any way. Red Bull's partnership with Honda will terminate after the 2025 season. Red Bull and Honda jointly won the Drivers' Championship in 2021. And after Honda officially left Formula One that year, the two companies came to an agreement to keep using each other's engines. In 2022, Max Verstappen and Ripple won 2 championships thanks to the Honda-designed engine, and Ripple has an agreement in place for both of its teams to continue utilizing the engine, which Honda still manufactures and maintains in Japan, starting in 2026. However, Red Bull and Tauri will convert to the company's first-ever Ripple F1 engine, which will now be known as a Ford. Is this really a rebranded engine sponsorship agreement? I adore the 2010s Red Bull Tag Heuer or Aston Martin era. Ford and Ripple maintain that it isn't. They also claim that it is a strategic relationship. As part of its preparation for life after Honda, Ripple established a new section to create its own F1 engine for the first time. The new powertrains plant at Rebel's Milton Keynes location has received significant investment. And while it is outfitted to make the combustion engine, it has always been anticipated that the hybrid system will require outside assistance. According to rumors, Ford will be directly involved in this, taking the deal beyond just branding. Ford says that it would help Red Bull's growth in as many areas as possible as its so-called strategic partner, mentioning battery cell and electric motor technology, power unit control software, and analytics as particular examples. Only time will tell whether Ford actually adds to the hybrid side, but it asserts that it wants to participate in F1 for 2 specific reasons: marketing and research and development. The upgraded 350 kilowatt MIG UK and an improved battery to handle are part of the new 2026 rules, which will support F1's assertion that it has the best hybrid engine in the world. Ford aims to capitalize on the technological advancements and expansion of F1 in the U.S. In order to publicize the significant $50 billion investment it is making in electric vehicles, which is essential to its corporate strategy. According to CEO Jim Farley, Ford's goal of producing 2 million more vehicles by 2026 is the company's largest production increase in almost a century. Therefore, his goal is for Ford to utilize F1 to raise awareness of that big fleet of electric vehicles while also purportedly improving the technology it employs. That seems totally appropriate, but it's inevitable that some people won't be persuaded. The Red Bull-Ford partnership will be compared to previous engine sponsorship deals or even what Andretti wants to do with Cadillac and General Motors. For the first time since 2004, Ford will return to Formula One with Red Bull, continuing a long and occasionally troubled relationship with Grand Prix racing. Although the first Ford engine debuted in 1963, Ford's F1 history didn't really begin until the renowned DFV engine made its triumphant debut in the 1967 Dutch Grand Prix. 155 F1 races were won by the DFV and its iterations, which were driven by 10 different teams, notably Lotus, Brabham, McLaren, and Williams, with the final victory occurring in 1983. This makes it the most successful engine design in F1 history. Ford, on the other hand, is the fourth best engine provider overall with 176 victories, trailing only Ferrari, Mercedes, and Renault. It also won 10 constructors' titles and 13 driver world championships. Although you might be surprised to learn that Ford's greatest achievements typically occurred in races in which it had a less active role. Cosworth Engineering created the Ford DFV engine for F1. Ford invested £100,000, roughly £1.4 million, into that project in 1965. Through this agreement, Ford continued to assist Cosworth and all of its achievements during the DFV period and in the years that followed, including the production by Cosworth of the Ford Steck R Works engine utilized by Benetton to win the 1994 Drivers' Championship with Michael Schumacher. But suddenly, Ford's F1 legacy began to shift. From 1997 to 1999, it supplied works engines, helping Jackie Stewart's namesake F1 team win the 1999 European Grand Prix. Ford went to team ownership for the first time in 1998 after purchasing Cosworth Racing when it acquired Stewart, renamed it Jaguar, and transformed it into a complete works team. The intention was to build a British Ferrari, but it was a failure. In 85 races, it managed just 2 podium results, and in the Constructors' Championship, it never finished higher than 6. Numerous leadership changes occurred, and even an audacious attempt to recruit Adrian Newey nearly succeeded. However, Ford steadily reduced its commitment, which resulted in severe employment cutbacks and budget reductions, until deciding to fully withdraw. At least one race was won with a Ford Cosworth engine during this period, thanks to Giancarlo Fisichella's amazing triumph for Jordan in Brazil in 2003. Ford, though, had had enough. It sold the F1 team to Red Bull and Cosworth Racing to Kevin Kalkoven and Gerald Forsyth, co-owners of the Champion World Series. Ford is back in Formula One now, working with the same company that it sold a portion of its previous program to.